Hi everyone, welcome to Bringing More to the Table with Shelly. I'm Shelly. Today I'm going to be making an apple pie and I'm going to make my own crust today. So I've got it started here in my mixer. 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of cubed room temperature Crisco shortening, and 3/4 teaspoons of salt. So I'm going to get that incorporated and then I'm going to be back to show you the rest of the ingredients. Okay, so I've got my Crisco here and my flour and my salt mixed together, and I just want to show you how this looks. It's a fine crumble texture, so this is how your beginnings should look for your pie crust. And now I'm going to add the last ingredients, which is 1 egg, 1 large egg. So I'm going to put that in a measuring cup. 1 large egg, 1 tablespoon of vinegar, white vinegar, and 2 tablespoons of cold water. Okay. And then I'm just going to give that a mix to incorporate everything. Your egg mixture. And this is what's going to bind your crust together with your flour and shortening and salt. Okay, so that's how it should look. Creamy. And that's it. Now I'm just going to put the top here down. Turn this back on. And I'm just going to pour this right in on the side. Okay, and here we go. Okay, now that's going to mix up. Just going to turn it up a bit. Let it mix maybe 30 seconds to a minute. And you'll see it's starting to come together here in the bowl. Looks like it's done. So I just want to show you this. So it's nice and soft and tender. Now I'm going to form this into 2 balls. I'm going to wrap it in plastic wrap and put it in the fridge for 15 minutes. And then we'll be working on our filling. So now I'm going to peel my apples. I have 4 Granny Smith apples and 3 Cortland apples that I'm going to use for my filling for this apple pie. So I've got an apple peeler here. I'm going to put the apple on and I'm going to peel it, and you'll be amazed at how simple and easy this is. So just pull this back, put your apple on, and start turning. And there she goes, just like that. Peels it like nothing. And cores it as well. And there we go. There's our perfectly peeled apple. And as you'll see, it's just so nice. Oops. That's okay. So I've got 6 more to do. So I'll see you when I'm done. Okay, so I have my apples all peeled. Like I said, I have Granny Smith and Cortland in here, and I have 7 of them. So now I'm going to add in my sugar, which is 3/4 cup of white granulated sugar. Pour it in there, sprinkle it on. So that was 1/4, and this is 1/2, so that makes 3/4. And then it's going to be 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. And that is your thickening agent. I also wanted to tell you, if you didn't have a stand mixer, you can certainly use a pastry cutter or 2 knives or even a hand mixer to get your dough blended up and all incorporated. All right, so 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. You could also do 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon or 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. I don't like nutmeg, so I only put cinnamon in my apple pie. So all we're gonna do now is just mix this in, let it sit for a bit, and then we're gonna get our pie crust out and roll out our dough, okay? Well, I didn't go anywhere. So anyways, I've got this incorporated and mixed in, my sugar, flour, and cinnamon. And if you like more cinnamon or nutmeg, you can add to the mixture. All right, so I'm gonna get this set aside, and I'm going to do my pie dough. Okay, so I'm gonna start rolling out my dough here. I've got a piece of parchment paper down with flour on top of it, and I'm gonna put my dough right on top of that. Just makes it easier to roll and to get your dough into the pie plate if it's on the parchment paper. Okay, so just put your dough down, get a little bit of flour, sprinkle the top of it. That way the rolling pin's not going to stick to it. Give it a little rub, and then take your rolling pin and just start rolling it. And this dough is just perfect. The texture came out very nice. Sometimes your dough comes out too dry or too moist, and then it doesn't roll well. But this one came out really well. So just turn it gently, and then you just give it little rolls, and be gentle with it. Don't press too hard because your dough will rip. And don't be afraid to turn it and put more flour if you need to, because you don't want the rolling pin to stick to the top of the crust. All right, so I'm going to get this one done, and then when I'm ready to put it in the pie crust, it'll be very simple, and I'll be showing you that very shortly. Okay, so I've got my pie crust rolled out here. As you can see, it's not perfectly round, but it's perfect to go in the pie plate. Now this is about 1/8 of an inch thick. You can roll it as thick or as thin as you like. This is a good width though, because you'll have a nice flaky pie crust. So just lift up your wax paper, roll it over onto the rolling pin, and just lift and pull. Keep your pie plate close so that you can get it right in there. And then you just roll it right off into the pie plate. See how nice that works? Perfect. And then just lift it in gently. Don't be afraid to lift it, but do be careful with it because it will tear. All right, so I'm just going to get this situated in my plate here, and then I'm going to put my apples in there, and then we'll do the second top. Okay, so I've got my crust in the pie plate. I'm going to add my pie filling into there. So just give your apples a little stir. They've been sitting for 5 minutes or so, so they've incorporated and soaked up that sugar and the flour and the cinnamon. And as you can see, they've got a little bit of liquid on them now, and that's the juice from the apples coming together with that sugar. Okay, so you'll see they're nice and shiny, a little bit of juice there. And you can probably see the difference in the apple color from the Cortlands to the Granny Smith. So I'm going to put that in my pie plate. So all you do is just lift up your apples, just scoop them right in there. Nothing too hard. Just make sure you got lots of space to fill here. So get your apples in there. And like I said, you could use 6 apples. Depends how full you'd like your pie. I like mine to be full. I don't like a pie that doesn't have any fruit in it. And once they cook, they do cook down a bit. So it's nice to have that little bit extra pie and apple in there. All right, so I'm just going to get the rest of these in, and then I'll be doing my next pie top. All right, so I have my second pie crust rolled out here. And once again, just lift it up over your rolling pin. Unstick it from your wax paper. Have your pie plate close and just lay it right over the top, just like that, of your apple pie. So I'm going to get this all set up, put together, crimp my edges, and then we're going to get this in the oven. So when you're doing your edges, you just stick it together, and you want to just squeeze the crust together. That's all. And then you're going to tuck it underneath and just give it a little pinch like that. And then it'll be a perfect pie crust. All right, so I'll see you in a second. So my pie is ready. I've got it all put together. I'm just going to cut some slits in the top of the crust here so that steam can escape while the pie is cooking and bubble through. And you can cut however many you like, or however you want to decorate your pie crust. You can do whatever you like with this. I usually just cut about this many. Sometimes I take the knife and I just stick holes all over the place, but this is good. So there you go. So there's my apple pie. Crust is all made by hand, and it's going to be absolutely delicious. So this is going into the oven at 450 degrees for 50 minutes. Sometimes it might take a few more minutes than that. And also you're going to want to cover your edges of the crust so they don't burn during baking or get over browned. So I'll be doing that after, probably about halfway through, because I do like to let them cook first. So as I said, 425, not 450, 425 for 50 minutes. See you soon. So it's been 50 minutes. I'm going to take my pie out of the oven. It's been baking for 50 minutes. Now I did go back and put a cookie sheet underneath it because pies usually tend to boil over and make quite a mess of your oven. So I'm pretty glad I did do that, as this pie did boil over. So there it is, all done. Looks beautiful, browned. And now it's going to cool. Once it's cooled and all done, I'll show you how it looks inside.